Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
Chiefs win. Cry, Eagles, cry.
Great, excited to be back in the league.
You know, every day I got the Three Stooges in the studio with me is a good fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So let's make sure he gets that bag.
F-R-A-U-D-S, fries! Woo!
Justin's way ahead in picks. That's all that you need to fucking know.
Show's over.
Show's over. We're going home. I would like to welcome you back to another page of the Playbook Sports Podcast. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite sports talk show, the Playbook Sports Podcast. I got with me today Downtown Sage, Brian Sage. How you doing, buddy?
Yo, doing good, doing good. How's it going with you?
Oh, man, it's going. You know what? I will say this before we get started. So today we're planning to fix the Afc North, and I don't know your guys' situation, but I do know Pittsburgh's situation, and I know Cleveland's situation. Not pretty. Not pretty at all. This division is going to be you and Cincinnati for a while, I think, pal.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
We will be having, no kidding. We will be having Addison join us shortly. Unfortunately, we won't have Cephs today. He's got some stuff going on, so he's a little busy. So I'm just going to take over for him and do Cleveland myself. I just have some brief stuff on them. They can't do anything, but we'll get into that. So Sage, this is your division. You want to go first?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, give it to me.
All right, you fix those Baltimore Ravens for me. Let's hear it.
All right. So first and foremost, I mean, we know where I'm going first, right?
We have to. You have to go there.
Lamar,
Yeah.
right? And in my opinion, Lamar is too valuable and quarterbacks are too few and far in between to go find another one.
Yes.
We have to extend him.
Yeah.
You know, the baseline for his salary that he's looking for, 230 guaranteed, 5 years, just like Deshaun.
Yep.
And I don't blame him. I mean, he has way less baggage than Deshaun. He's won an MVP. He's won a playoff game. He's done everything that he needs to get this bag,
Right.
and he deserves it. You know,
Absolutely.
so let's give it to him. You know, I mean, with Lamar, we're averaging 25 points per game.
Yep.
Right. With Lamar and Rashad Bateman, we are averaging over 30 points a game. Without Lamar, we are averaging 11.8 points a game.
That's not going to get it done. That's just not going to get it done.
We are a top 5 offense with this man, and then a bottom 3 offense without him.
Yeah. Woo. Man, 11 points without him. Jeez.
Absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, let's just extend him. Like if you hear so many different things with this contract all throughout this process, some sources are saying they're $100 million off with guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Some sources are saying they're like 50 million off. Some sources are saying they're really close, and some sources are saying that he's on the trade block.
Sure.
So there's so many things going around that my thing is if you're 50 million off, if you're close, just do it.
Just do it. You have to.
Just pull the trigger. If you're nitpicking this, you're not gonna make Lamar want to be there either. Personally, we should have extended him right after the MVP season.
Yep. Lock him down. Yep.
Or after last year. Sure, he missed the last 6 games after the previous year, 2021
right
season. But why wouldn't we just do it then? He would have became cheaper. The Deshaun Watson deal hadn't happened yet. Of course, we didn't know that was happening. But just the prices just kept going up and up and up. And we had every chance in the world and we just didn't take it.
Yeah. And then you
So
see
right
someone,
now,
you see
we
someone
gotta
like
fight that.
Kyler Murray get that bag too, and Russell Wilson get a bag, and Lamar can say, I'm better than both of those dudes any day of the week. It's oh
Exactly.
no, the price spiked.
Yeah. So just get Lamar taken care of, you know? I'm already happy with our offensive coordinator position. We got Todd Monken. He's been in the league before. I mean, he took the Browns to some decent offensive performances, and he took Jameis Winston to put up 30 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
Granted, Jameis Winston didn't have LASIK then and threw 30 picks, but I'm not blaming Todd Monken on that because Jameis Winston just threw it up.
He just saw a person. He's throwing it to you. I don't know what team you're on, but you're getting the ball.
Exactly. So I'm not blaming Monken for that. He went back to the college, did his shit, won 2 chips, came back. I'm excited. He has a versatile offense.
Yeah, I like that signing.
I'm not worried about it. Second thing, we need to equip the quarterback. So obviously, we're going to need a wide receiver, right? It's not going to get it done with Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, James Prochet.
No.
No.
That's not good.
We're set on tight end, thankfully. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, studs.
Yep,
Both
good there.
So I'm solid there. I
Mhm.
just need a veteran wide receiver. I'm not looking at the draft right now. I think we need a vet because if I know my Ravens, it's that we don't know how to draft a wide receiver.
Yeah, your track record's not great. It's not great.
I mean, Rashad Bateman is kind of our best at right now.
Mhm.
But if I go through our first round picks, tell me if you know any of these wide receivers or know that they've done anything worthwhile in the league. Okay, first wide receiver we ever took in the first round, Travis Taylor.
Nope, couldn't tell you a thing about him.
Yep. Mark Clayton.
Okay, that name sounds familiar because I think he was on the Dolphins for a while. If that's the Mark Clayton I'm thinking of.
For a little bit, maybe. He went to Oklahoma. And then Rashad Perriman.
I know who he is, but he's not a first round receiver.
Right. And then Marquise Brown is probably our best pick aside from like Rashad Bateman so far.
Right. And then Marquise isn't even there.
Right. Marquise isn't even here. We can't pick a wide receiver to save our lives. I'd say the most talented wide receiver we ever drafted on our own is Torrey Smith. And we got him in the third round.
He's solid.
But if,
Smith.
exactly. But if you look at the players that we picked up later in their career, we got Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah.
Anquan Bolden, Mike Wallace, Derek Mason.
Yeah.
These players did really well for us. We're great at picking up old talent and getting the most out of them, you know? So what I think we should do, obviously there's not a lot out there in free agency.
No.
But we got to go out there and go to the trade block and say, hey, Tampa Bay,
Ooh.
if we give you a second rounder,
Mhm.
let's bring Mike Evans on over here.
Mike Evans. Okay.
Let's bring Mike Evans on over here, dude.
All right. I like that.
Chris Pratt runner, easy 1,000 yards every year.
Every year of his career. I think he's done it in 1 straight seasons.
Exactly. So let's get him out there because you know he's going to create space.
Absolutely.
Mike Evans is in there. All of a sudden, Rashad Bateman has one-on-ones.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, there's one less person in the box for Lamar to run. All of a sudden, our run pass like option game blowing up because guess what? There's options finally.
Right. Right.
It's not either Lamar runs or J.K. Dobbins runs or he's throwing it to Mark Andrews. It is this, and this. What's going to happen?
Mhm. I mean, you have to get that guy in there. Now, I know you went with Mike Evans over Chris Godwin, and I do too. I think a lot of people are going to say, oh, they're going to try and trade Chris Godwin instead of Mike Evans. But I want Mike Evans. He's the sure thing. Chris Godwin's coming off that big injury. He looked like he maybe lost a step this past season. Mike Evans just gets open, and he's got the hands to catch any pass throw to him. I mean, the guy's a
Absolutely.
bona fide stud. And when we get to the NFC South, you'll know about this. So spoiler alert, they're like 60 million over the cap. Them and the New Orleans Saints are in a bad spot. That'll be a fun. There'll be a fun division to try to fix because there's literally nothing you can do.
It's like, I want to do this. You can't. Oh,
Sorry, so you can't do that. Oh, I can't resign him. No, he's gone too. You don't have any money.
Right. And when you look at Mike Evans, his contract, a lot of his contract, they had him on like a 5-year deal when he signed that extension.
Mhm.
The last 3 years of his contract were void years.
Oh, okay.
So you trade for this guy, you almost have him as a franchise tag.
Yeah.
Because you can void any of those years. Plus, on top of that, like they're friendly contracts,
Yeah.
especially with the wide receiver market changing. He signed before Christian Kirk did.
Ooh. Cost himself a lot of money.
Exactly. So, hey, I'll take Mike Evans every day of the week.
Absolutely. With him,
But
and
Mike
Lamar,
Evans
like you
is
said,
my
Rashad Bateman.
1B option.
Ooh,
If I
okay.
can trade for anybody in the NFL, and
Uh-huh.
this is a little wishy-washy, like I'm wishing on a star here.
Yep.
I would love Terry McLaurin.
Ooh, scary Terry.
God, I would love
Okay.
Terry McLaurin.
I thought you'd be a Raven last year. I thought you guys were going to make a move for him at the deadline. Honestly,
wish we
That was
did.
What I thought was going to happen.
He's one of my favorite receivers in the league. Dude can contort his body any which way he wants to catch that ball high up in the air.
Yeah.
I just think if we had him and Bateman together,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, it's over.
And then you pick up a receiver in the draft, man, forget about it. Your receiving room then built. There you go. Hey, Lamar, here's your new weapons. No more throwing it to, you're like we said last show, his best wide receiving core that he's had included Willie Snead
Yep.
and just a bunch of nobodies that are no longer anything. And it's like, okay, now you give this guy Terry McLaurin, you give him Rashad Bateman, who's a very good too. And then you go draft one with your first pick in the draft. Go get a Jordan Addison, who's an elite separator.
Right.
Done. Pair that up with Mark Andrews and your offensive line. Oh, baby. Here we
Apparently,
go.
in the draft, I've been seeing us linked to Zay Flowers and Jalen Hyatt the most.
Okay. Interesting.
And both of those, I don't like. I get it, but we've already tried the small, speedy receiver
Hasn't
so
worked.
many times.
This doesn't work.
We're like, oh, let's do Marquise Brown. Oh, let's do Brashad Perryman. Let's do Brashad Perryman's not small, but he was like the fastest
He was
receiver.
the speed. He was the speed demon.
Yeah. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like, speed does not equal talent in this league.
Mm-mm.
If so, why does Jarvis Landry consistently get open?
Right. And why is someone like John Ross nothing in the league and hasn't been anything in the league when he ran a 4.22? Like, why is he a stud?
What happened to Dree Archer?
Yeah. All these, like, if you can't get open, yeah, great, you can run straight. Okay, they're gonna put a safety over the top. Now you've got 2 dudes on you, and you're a subpar to average receiver itself. Okay, good. Everybody's fast. Welcome to the NFL.
Right.
Everybody can run.
This is more about what's between your ears.
Yep. Yeah. This is where you get into the more finite minutia of it all. Like, you have to be good at what you do. You can't just outrun everybody anymore. Sorry, it doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So next up, there's a guy on the Ravens last year who requested a trade, and we said no.
Uh-huh.
That's Chuck Clark,
Oh, okay.
safety, right?
Mhm.
We gave him a contract, and then we drafted Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
We don't need three pretty good safeties on our team. Kyle Hamilton graded out as the best safety of the league this year.
Which is crazy, man. He's a stud. That was a great, your guys' draft last year. I said it when you did it. I'll say it again. Fantastic. Love it.
I'm so happy with it. So happy with it.
Yeah.
So we have Kyle Hamilton. We have Marcus Williams. We don't necessarily need Chuck Clark, and he already requested a trade. So I say we trade him this year and maybe get that number 3 receiver from the Buffalo Bills, a safety needing team. And let's say, hey, I'll give you Chuck Clark. You give me Isaiah McKenzie. I don't think we're getting Gabe Davis.
Probably not, but Isaiah McKenzie definitely, because I don't know if he's a free agent. If he is, they have like they could tag him and trade him or whatever, however they want to do it. I'm sure they won't just let him walk, but I like that.
Yeah, but they're looking for receivers anyways. They don't think he's good enough. I think we can get Chuck Clark, Isaiah McKenzie, and a 6th round pick.
Yeah, I think that would definitely work.
And I'll take him in the slot with Mike Evans, Rashad Bateman, McKenzie, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely on the side, JK. Oh,
Lamar running that offense.
my mouth's watering.
Ooh, man, gotta put up points.
That would be crazy. So that's the most ideal for me. A few other safety needing teams that I noticed are all in the division. They're not going to trade. They're not going to trade. So,
No.
But hey, Chuck Clark, he's worth it. He's a damn good safety.
Very good safety.
And he's one of the only safeties to have, I think, 3+ picks on Pat Mahomes too. So maybe someone in the AFC West needs someone that can
maybe he's got Mahomes
pick that up.
Okay,
Maybe.
I like that.
Thankfully, the Ravens have the 8th most cap space in the NFL.
Nice, good.
So we're working our numbers pretty well. The Ravens are known for cutting players before they take up too much of the space. If they ask for too much, we're pretty well known for letting them walk beforehand, which doesn't bode well for Lamar. but hey, that's a crazy exception. Last time we made a quarterback the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, it was Joe Flacco after the Super Bowl. We saw how that worked out.
Yeah.
Granted, that contract was $120 million.
Wow, this is double that at least.
It's insane how crazy like the quarterback situation has gone up in the past 10 years.
It's nuts, man. The amount of money that these guys are getting right now is just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Keep
we're
rising
talking
that cap.
like when Addison gets on here to do Cincinnati. I mean, we're going to be talking damn near $500 million for Joe Burrow. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, 10 years, $500 million. Like that's crazy.
I don't know if Joe Burrow is going to be that nice to him because Pat Mahomes' deal is actually very
friendly. Very friendly. Yeah. I mean,
everyone was like, oh, it's $500 million. But when you look at it, that's almost nothing for 10 years.
Yeah,
very
they structured it well. And I mean, like if after this offseason, if the quarterbacks who are in line for extensions get him, he'll be like the 10th highest paid QB in the league. And he's far and away the best.
Yep.
Yeah, they did that they've done it so well. I'm so jealous of the Chiefs.
They just have it going on.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
I really think Cleveland specifically just signed Deshaun Watson to this deal just to fuck over the Ravens and Bengals.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they did too. I think they knew it. I think they knew it. They're like, you know what? We've got the money. We need a QB. Let's just give him a fully guaranteed contract. And now everybody who wants a QB, sorry.
Yep.
Ours first, and we got him at the cheapest it's going to be because the price is going to be higher for Lamar. It's going to be higher for Burrow. They really did screw everybody else who has a young QB.
Oh, we're so screwed. We're so screwed. But hey, it's gonna change. Who knows if the NFLPA is gonna step in, be like, hey, like here's some parameters that you guys have to follow. But As of right now, it's a high price.
Yeah, he's not going to be cheap, man.
No.
For your guys' sake, you have to bring him back. Like, it's like we were saying, like like Addison often says, there's 7 billion people on this world, and there's maybe 15 of them that can play quarterback at an MVP level. And if you have one, you don't let them go. You just can't. And you can't look your fans in the face and say, yeah, we're trying to win, but we're not going to resign our MVP quarterback, Lamar Jackson. We're just not going to do that. We can't.
Exactly.
It's like, yes, you can. You actually can afford him. You're just choosing not to because you want to continue to save up your money.
And if that does happen, if we do trade him away, we absolutely need a haul.
Yeah, have to get a haul for him.
And I'm at minimum 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, easily.
At minimum, you start where Russell Wilson.
Deshaun. You started the Deshaun Watson trade. I mean, that was 3 firsts and a few seconds.
Yeah. I need 3 firsts. I need a second. I need a player. I need.
Yeah, you need a couple starting players, several first-round picks, just all the draft capital in the world. Like, you need to be set up for years if you do this.
And that's the only reason when I saw that, I think it was Kuiper who had us taking like CJ Stroud at 8 or something.
Yeah, which means
something
you traded
wild.
Yeah,
that definitely insinuates, we get a haul for this. We trade up to 8.
Absolutely.
Obviously. Because if we do, maybe we trade everything and just go straight to the number 1 spot next year.
Yeah, just
and just be like, hey, we have Caleb now, something like that,
Caleb Williams, dude. There's already so many teams that are like, just from talking to people and from friends and everything, like so many people are playing this for next season's quarterback draft. Because Caleb Williams says that he could be that next guy. I mean, he's one of the best probably the best quarterback prospects since Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in that mold. And
he's in that Andrew Luck tier.
Yeah. Yeah,
where, hey, this is a generational guy.
Yeah, freak athlete, crazy arm strength, very accurate.
Granted, the generational guys, how many times do they pan out and how many times
do they flame out?
Right.
Yeah.
But still, like, hey, I'm willing to take a risk on it, especially him. I've watched him play. Fuck.
I'm telling you, I'm so confident that that's what the Commanders are playing for.
Yep.
That's why they brought in Bieniemy. They're like, listen, Rivera's like, meh, we're okay with him, but we don't want to fire him yet because there's not much out there. You'll be a good head coach. Let's just trot Sam Howell out there for a year and just be horrible. I bet you that's what the Colts. If I'm the Colts, I don't think I draft a quarterback, and we'll get more into that when the draft comes. I think if I'm the Colts, I say, you know what? Let's see what we got in Sam Ehlinger. Let's trot him out there. We've got a rookie coach. We're not going to fire him. And then let's just play for the number 1 overall pick. Let's just play for the number 1 pick next year and build around this young QB. Yeah. That's why I think that every team, I think there's going to be like 6 or 7 teams that are trying to do that in the next year. Everybody's going to want number 1 or number 2. They're going to want Caleb Williams or they're going to want May out of North Carolina.
Caleb Williams really wants Miami to do it.
I know. I don't know how we swing that, but I'd be okay with it. Honestly, I'd be good with that. He's a freak.
Yeah. I mean, if not, like, if you guys don't have that number 1 spot, he's going to come at a hefty price.
Oh my God. I don't even want to know what it would cost to trade up to 1, especially if the team at 1 doesn't have a quarterback already. Like, they're just going to say no. They want like the Bengals did in 2020. Like, they would not even entertain the idea of trading back from 1. They're like, no, we're taking Joe Burrow. You literally could offer us your franchise and we would not take it right now.
Yeah.
No, we're good.
And sometimes you just know. You just know. Like, Joe Burrow was a little bit of a hit or miss, like, prospect at the time. Like, he was the consensus number 1, but we didn't know he was going to be what he is now. I mean,
no, he only had 1 good season in college. I mean,
granted, it was like the best season ever.
But he also had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Like, he had the weapons, like that team was insane. It's like Mac Jones. Mac Jones had a fantastic season for Bama. Yeah, look who he was throwing it to. Heisman winner Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, John Mechie. All of these freak athletes that they have, and they had Jahmyr Gibbs and Najee Harris in the backfield. It's like, well, of course he's going to succeed. He has the best offensive line.
Don't get me started on Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh boy, he's going to be good. He's going to be
good. We got him on my list. Hold up.
Yeah. I was going to say, you got to keep going for the Ravens, and you got your draft. And then Addison's ready to join us. So let's do your draft picks you here to wrap up your fixing of them, and then we'll get Addison in here.
Absolutely. So assuming we get Mike Evans and all that happening, first round pick, I really, really want a corner.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of good corners in this draft, so I'm not particular on a certain corner. I mean, obviously, I think Christian Gonzalez's draft capital has gone way up to the point where I don't think we can get him anymore. But if we can get Brian Branch, who can play that corner safety,
that'd be a great pick, man. If he falls to you guys at 23 or 22.
And the Ravens love Bama players. I'll take that all day long. And second round, if Jahmyr Gibbs is still there.
Yeah, done.
I want him.
I think J.K. Dobbins is super talented. He just hasn't proved that he can stay on the field for you guys.
Exactly.
He's just
And
missed so
we,
much
we
time.
saw several times we were watching games together and he would break a run and just get chased down.
Yeah, just get run down.
And Jahmyr Gibbs looks like the second coming of Jamal Charles.
Yeah, just breakaway speed, man.
So if we can get him on an open line, like shit, he's
Forget
gone.
about it.
He's gone. Like, granted, he doesn't catch the ball as much as I think he probably could or should. But hey, I'm excited for it.
Man, can you imagine a triple option play where Lamar could keep it, he could give it to Jahmyr Gibbs, or he could pass it to Mike Evans? I mean, that's got to be like a Ravens fan's wet dream.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Yeah, good luck stopping that offense. And then the defense was so much better last year once you got Roquan Smith in there.
Yep.
Not losing any huge pieces back there. I mean, that defense will still be good, which is good. You guys are built to compete with the top teams in the AFC, which everyone, I mean, you have to be. You're either like I said earlier, like if you look at the 7 AFC teams from the playoffs this past year, none of them are going to be worse next year. And the teams below them are only probably going to get better. Like the NFL has so much talent on the AFC side. It really sucks for us because the NFC is so devoid of it, and it's all in the AFC right now.
I know. If we could just like gerrymander a way for us to get back in the NFC, like
I would love to be in the NFC South. I mean, we're in Miami. We're the furthest South team in the NFL. Come on,
that would work.
Put me in the NFC South with those boys.
Yeah. And then last thing for the cap. We're obviously in pretty decent cap situation right now. Like, can't complain too much. I would love to re-sign Marcus Peters, our corners. Like, we need that veteran corner voice in there. Marcus Peters, I think he can still play. I think he thinks he can still play too.
He definitely does.
He definitely thinks he's like top corner in the league for some reason. But I love the dude to death. He brings a fire to the defense, brings a swagger to the defense, and I think those guys are necessary.
Yeah, you need them.
And then a few players to cut just to save some money and maybe make a few other moves. I have obviously trading Chuck Clark, who would have been $3.5 million.
Sure.
We have Michael Pierce. We drafted pretty good on the D line. That'll save us $2 million. And then I think we go after some offensive linemen and defensive linemen in the draft.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those are who we draft really well because right now Ben Powers is a top 10 free agent prospect right now as a guard. And I don't think we can afford to keep him. But we drafted him in like the 4th round. And we did that with so many players, Kelechi Osemele over the years, stuff like that. Like we know how to draft some offensive linemen in the mid rounds and develop them. So if we just keep doing that, I'm happy. I'm a happy boy.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you guys are set up, man. The whole offseason for you guys and everything for the next 10 years, all predicates on getting a deal done with Lamar Jackson in the next few months. Yeah. That's what will determine the outcome of the Baltimore Ravens 2023.
Well, I'm hoping the next few days, hours, minutes. I'm checking my phone. Sometimes I just get anxious about it.
Yeah, just got to see. Is there anything? Nothing? Okay,
yeah.
I'm interested to see what they're going to do. It's going to be an interesting couple of months for the Ravens and for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's get Addison in on this.
Hey guys, this is Nate from the Playbook Sports Podcast, and I want to take a moment and thank today's sponsor, Gold, Fine & Bolt, Attorneys for the Injured. Established in 1962, these attorneys have served Central Illinois with dedication, care, and efficiency. In the last 10 years alone, they've recovered over $100 million in losses for their clients. Let me repeat that for you. Over $100 million for their clients. They specialize in workers' compensation, but are well-versed in automobile accidents, animal attacks, nursing home abuse, defective products, and wrongful death cases. If you're in need of any sort of legal representation, these fine gentlemen and their fantastic staff are available and are more than capable of helping you get what you are owed. Give them a phone call at 309-328-3997. Let me repeat that for you. 309-328-3997 and tell them that the Playbook Sports Podcast sent you. Gold, Fine, and Bowls, it's their experience that wins. Now let's get back to the video.
Oh, you're good. So Sage just gave us the Ravens. We've added my brother Opal to the party here. And then I'm going to jump in and I'm going to try to fix Pittsburgh, which isn't going to be really an easy thing to do because I'm not a believer in Kenny Pickett. Not really a knock on him. It's just my own personal opinion on him. I think he could be solid, but he's not going to win you much in my opinion. So, but they're stuck with him. So he's going to be who they're rolling with. Pittsburgh is coming into the offseason with minus $4 million in cap space. So they're going to have to make some moves. First two things I'm doing is I'm cutting Mitchell Trubisky as, backup quarterback, saves me $8 million right there. So thanks.
Done.
Later. Next up, I'm cutting William Jackson, who they picked up in the around the deadline last year when Washington cut him. That saves $12 million if I cut him. So see ya. So there's 20 million back already. And then I'm doing something controversial because Pittsburgh is not in a good cap space. There's not a whole lot that they can do. They've got several starters leaving in free agency. They will hate me. If any Pittsburgh fans watching this, I'm sorry, but I'm not a believer in sentiment. I'd rather let it burn. And Cam Hayward, I'm cutting him.
Ooh.
34 years old. He's getting up there, and it saves me $10 million in cap space this year. Now, if he wants to re-sign, great. I'm all for that. But I'm not paying him that much money. Not when I'm paying TJ Watt $30 million next to him. I just can't. I don't have the money to do that.
That's a big move.
I know. It's controversial.
You're going to separate the brothers?
If you didn't want controversy, you shouldn't have invited the king. I don't know what to tell you. And they've got a ton of in-house free agents that they have to bring. So if I do all of that, even if I don't cut Cam Hayward, for example, then okay, I've got 15 million. I'm not bringing much back with that. I can't. They traded forward and picked up, or they signed Larry Ogunjobi last year on a 1-year prove-it deal. I can't bring him back as much as I would like to. They need him in there, but I can't because he only had a half a sack last year in 15 games. He's gonna, on average, market value, he's gonna command over $10 million a year.
I am glad he failed that physical or whatever it was for the Bears.
Yeah, that was huge.
That broken foot or whatever the hell it was, man, because we signed him to a big deal and no production.
Yeah, sorry, they paid him $8 million this year for a half a sack. So $16 million per sack, if you do that math. That's not great. And he's gonna want at least $8 million a year because he's young. And he's got a cool nickname, the Beast from Charlotte. So there's another $1 million for the cool nickname.
Exactly. $1 million boss.
I'm letting him go. But the one person I am definitely bringing back for them is Cameron Sutton, their corner. Especially if I'm cutting William Jackson, you have to bring Sutton back. He should be priority number 1 for them. Average value for him is about $7-8 million. So I'm giving him a 2-year deal. He's only 27. You lock him up for 2 years, 2-3 years, give him 2 years, $15-16 million. I think he accepts that and comes back. And then you've got at least a solid corner in the room because you're going to have to draft one, and you're going to need some sort of veteran there to help teach the young corners and be that building block, And then this one is kind of tough because if I'm the GM, I'm bringing back Devin Bush without a question. Dude's only 24 years old right now. They took him in the first round a few years ago. He's super young. He's cheap. Market value has him only at $3 million a year. That's not bad at all. The problem is that the Steelers benched him at the end of last season. He got benched by the coaching staff for the last 3 games of the season. Was not starting for them. And it seems like they're not going to want to bring him back, which is crazy to me because what else do you have there? Then you have to go sign a free agent who's going to be just as expensive and not as young. I mean, how many 24-year-olds starting inside linebackers come available? Not many. But it seems like that relationship is fractured. So if I'm predicting what's going to happen, he's gone. But if I'm the GM, I'm signing him for a 3-year, $10 million deal. And I'm saying, thank you very much. Yeah. Let's fix this relationship. Brian Flores is gone. Brian Flores doesn't mesh well. Some players don't love him. Maybe that was the issue. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's out of there, and I'm bringing him back because he's just too young and too talented. And then free agency, if I don't bring back Devin Bush, I'm signing TJ Edwards is who I'm going after. Plug him in the middle linebacker position for you. He fills that role. He'll be expensive. And, you've only got 15 million available after a couple of re-signings. So you don't have much money, but you have to bring in a middle linebacker. You have
is he coming off his rookie contract, TJ Edwards? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
he's going to get paid a little bit of money too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to get paid, man. So it's okay, do I just try and fix the relationship with Devin Bush, who's just as younger than TJ Edwards, or do I go try and overpay maybe for TJ Edwards, who could be the best interior linebacker of the class, or of the free agency class, I should say.
Yeah.
So that's tough, man. They're not in a great spot. They don't have, they're paying just a ton of money to TJ Watt, which makes sense because he's a freak, but they've got big cap hits all over the place and they aren't that good. I will say the one thing that they did right this year, I like that they traded away Chase Claypool. It ended up working out for them that they got, the 32nd pick in the draft for him, which you couldn't have expected that to happen, but they were going to have to pay him. And he seems like somebody who might want a chunk of change because he is talented. He's a talented receiver at the end of the day, and he would want money and they can't afford him. I did think about trying to get rid of Deontay Jackson, but it would hit the cap too hard. His dead cap was so heavy. Yeah. So you're stuck. You're stuck. And Najee Harris is going to be due for a new contract in the next year or so. And they're just not in a good spot, man. Yeah, okay, great. Your QB's on a rookie deal, but you're giving all this, like the goal of a team and the obvious blueprint right now is a rookie deal quarterback, build around him. But they already tried to build around like Trubisky, and then they brought in Pickett. So you don't have any cap space to play with. Like they're stuck.
Yeah.
So there's really no free agency moves I can do with the 15 million, especially because I'm going to have to sign my rookie class. And you have essentially 2 first-round picks with 17 and 32. Yeah. You have to pay them and all your other draft picks. So at 17 for them, I'm taking the best available corner of the big 3, really, in my opinion, of the Devin Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, or Joey Porter Jr. It'll probably be Joey Porter Jr. And I think that could be a fun, like we've said several times, a good sentimental pick.
Yeah. They're a big family organization.
Yes, they really are. And it's not that they'd be reaching on him. He has some awesome tape. Very good corner. So I wouldn't sign him for the sentimental reason. I would draft him because he's a good corner.
They are also very good at drafting corners.
Yes, they're good at drafting defense, it seems like. I mean, they rocked with Big Ben for a long time. They got very fortunate that Antonio Brown was an insane Hall of Fame talent in the 5th round.
They could draft anyone at any position or at any wide receiver at any round, and they would be a Pro Bowler. And it pisses me off to no end.
They really always do get these studs. But if none of those corners fall, that means that one of the top offensive linemen fell. You know, there's no way all 3 corners and all 3 of the top offensive tackles are gone. So if I don't get a corner, I'm going to take whichever's left of Broderick Jones, Paris Johnson, or Peter Skronsky. That's what I would do for them because they're going to need a tackle. They've got to build up that offensive line still. It's not where it needs to be. I mean, and God love him, you know, Kendrick Green out of Illinois, out of Peoria, a local guy. He has not graded out well on that offensive line, and they have to keep trotting him out there because they just don't have the bodies. They just don't have the talent up there. And I hope he's good. Like, I hope he pans out for him, but he has not so far. Which leads me to my second pick. I'm going to assume I got a corner. I'm going to assume Joey Porter Jr. goes at 17. And then at 32, I'm going to take Darnell Wright out of Tennessee.
Ooh.
He's a massive dude, but he's not just like a massive dude you just run around. He's also got excellent feet. And he's a stud for Tennessee. He's very, very good for them in that offense this year. And if he isn't there, then I'm looking at wide receiver. So I'm going Darnell Wright or maybe even Anton Harrison. It might be a reach for Anton Harrison. A lot of places have him mocked, like obviously late first, but more so mid-second round grade on Anton. Whereas I think Darnell Wright's a late 1st round dude, and I would probably go for him. If not, I wouldn't mind getting like a Zay Flowers or something to complement the wide receiver room, try to replace Chase Claypool, who just left. But like I said, I don't see this Pittsburgh team doing a whole lot this year. And if they don't cut Cam Hayward, they're definitely not doing anything this offseason because they just won't have any money. And I'm not going to sit there and restructure everybody and kick the can down the road for them because after Addison does Cincinnati, when I do Cleveland, we will find out that eventually that bill comes due.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's bill is due, boys. Cleveland's bill is due.
Oh, yeah.
It is ugly.
They tried to sell their soul to get out of a hole, and they just got in a bigger hole. And
they better hope Deshaun Watson's elite. Like that's their only way out.
That's their only hope. And I'll talk about them when I do all their stuff because there was nothing I could do. It's horrible. But yeah, Pittsburgh is going to perennially be 9-8. Maybe sneak out a 10-7 win. They played better down the stretch of the season, not well enough to sneak into the playoffs, thankfully, but they were solid down the road, but they don't have any cap space to make anything better. And they're going to have to let some dudes go. So I'm interested to see what they do. And they have to fix their relationship with Devin Bush. I think I know they benched him probably for several reasons, but he's only 24, man, coach him up. Like he's still a kid. Like there are rookies coming out that are older than him and he's already played 4 seasons in the NFL.
I will say the Steelers organization, I feel like I know so much about this organization just because the Ravens and the Steelers run their organizations the same way.
Yeah.
They're like big brother, little brother, and it changes who's who like every few years. And basically like the way that they do business is, oh, you burn me, we'll cut you.
Yeah, you're gone.
And Devin Bush, I don't know if he's going to be there just for that reason. They give up on players quick and they're usually correct about it.
Yeah.
Again, that pisses me off because they're good at it, but goddamn, like their organization, they just know how to run a football team.
Yeah, they really do.
You brought up Najee, man. In the future, I got to think that he's gone when time comes.
They will not be able to re-sign him at this pace because they're going to have to re-sign Pickett. Like if Pickett is who they think he is, which I don't think Pickett's a quarterback you win a Super Bowl with, or that wins you a Super Bowl. Maybe you can win with him, but he won't win it. but he's going to get paid. Like we were talking about, me and Sage were talking about these quarterbacks and the contracts right now, man. Even mid-tier QBs are going to start getting absolute bags. We'll see it with Derek Carr here real soon. Like Derek Carr grades out as a top 15 quarterback, you could put him anywhere probably from 11 to 16 or 17, and he's going to get 35, 40 million a year. Daniel Jones is
Salary
asking.
cap is just going up too. It's like Mahomes was getting 45 million, Josh Allen's getting 40 million when the salary cap is under $200 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's 224 million this year, and it's just going to keep rising. Like quarterbacks are just going to start getting higher and higher annual value. It's just going to be insane.
Yeah. And Pickett, they're locked in with Kenny Pickett because he's the kid from Pittsburgh and everybody's going to like him. And he shows flashes of being talented, sure. But I just don't think he'll ever be the guy that can beat Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow personally. But they're going to have to pay him like he can, because what else is out there?
Yeah.
And he's only a second-year guy, so they've got time with him on his rookie deal. But as you know, they have no cap space, and they're not going to have to not pay TJ Watt anytime soon. He's still young, still going to get a bag for several more years. So is Minka Fitzpatrick. Like, they've already paid their young talent, so now you have to try to nickel and dime it and draft really well. And yeah, they can, but they haven't done a whole lot of it recently to make me think that they're going to be some juggernaut in the near future.
That's also a tough division, man. If Lamar stays and Joe Burrow's in there, like, come on, and the Browns, you just never know. Yeah. So.
And just with their offensive line, like, they have a lot of good defenses in the division to go against. Cincinnati, Ravens, and even the Browns have a good defense.
Yeah. You got to be able to block Myles Garrett, man.
And when you have Matt Canada calling the plays, come on.
Good luck.
I mean, but the Bengals looking at the Super Bowl, the Steelers are trying to hang around just to compete in the division. It's like you got teams building for bigger things than you, and you're trying to scrap to compete with those teams. That's tough, man.
It is very tough. Yeah.
I mean, Mike Tomlin gets the best out of his players, though. So
that's true. Yeah, Tomlin
is a great coach.
If you're gonna have one coach in that situation, it's definitely Tomlin you want, because he just gets the most, and that team always gets close to 500, man.
Yeah, they'll hover right around there, I think, for the next several years, the way that this roster is constructed.
Let's pencil it in 9-8, 3 years in a row.
Yeah, you really can. And maybe sneaking into the playoffs one of those years, but not doing anything.
Yeah.
Just, but enough to keep everybody together. Like, hey, we made the playoffs.
Again, lose to the Bengals in the first round.
Bingo. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do for the Steelers. I'm trying to build up their trenches a little bit with an offensive tackle and then getting them the best corner that I can at 17.
Nice.
So that's what I got. Addison, let's go you to Cincinnati, and then I'll finish with Cleveland.
Cincinnati, who I think is the favorite for the AFC North for a little bit of while, just because Joe Burrow's there. But just looking at the team, some needs, I think. Corner, they're going to need an edge rusher and a D tackle. Guards, question mark, and that running back room. So there's needs in multiple places. Spot Track's got them over $36 million in cap right now before any move. So they've definitely got some money, and they've got big time decisions coming, though, because the first thing I'm doing, getting out of the way, talking to Joey B.
Yeah.
We just got to figure out the extension. He's finally eligible coming into his 4th year. Everything I've looked up, this guy's about to go get a bag. They're trying to lock him up similar to Mahomes in the amount. I've seen 8 years, $408 million. I'm just gonna put the cherry on top. 8-year, $410 million. Say, Joey B, you're here for the rest of your career, man. You say it's a championship window, so let's get it. I will say that does add like 7.8 mil or something to his cap hit for this upcoming season, and we'll get to that eventually. I'll bring up somebody. But some of the cap free agent guys that they have to potentially bring back. We got Eli Apple. He's dominated in the postseason. He was talking trash. Obviously, they lost in the AFC Championship game, but he was a big time corner for them. Jesse Bates and Von Bell. So 2 starting safeties. Obviously, they drafted Hill, but one of those safeties, they lose both. That's a question mark there. Trey Flowers, other side corner, who on Spot Track, I think he's a little overvalued, some of the contract that he was potentially getting. So he might be walking. Hayden Hurst, tight end. You got P. Ryan as well. Jermaine Pratt. Like, it's a good amount of players, good amount of impact players that they've got potential free agents. One of those guys, P. Ryan, Samaje, I think you got to bring him back. He is such a good pass blocker. And in the AFC Championship game, I think the snap total really tells it. Joe Mixon was only on the field for like 29 snaps, and P. Ryan was 49.
Yeah.
So, and that's after the monster game he had in Buffalo. And albeit the snow game, whatever, but that just shows in the biggest moment they trust P. Ryan he's a better pass blocker. He just understands the offense better, and they just trust him more.
Yeah.
And the amount of value, Spot Track's got him around $3 million annually, so 2 years, 6.5 mil. I think they could offer him because he's going to be touted a little bit because he made plays for them. Other teams, so they might have to go up to 7 mil for him, but I think it's worth it because one move, I'll just get it out of the way now. I think it is post June 1st, so it'll be a while. But Joe Mixon, I think, is out of town.
Yeah, I think he's
I
gone.
mean, he
Agreed.
did have the big game against the Bills, but other than that, the prior week against the Ravens, he struggled, and then against Kansas City, they went to Pirine more,
Yeah.
and it's just they did just sign Joe, but they can save 7.2 million post June 1st cut, which is basically Joe Burrow's extension money that they're adding to this year's cap. It's tough to say sorry, Joe, but at the end of the day, you're not producing what your contract level is worth. Like, he's up there with Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and he is a good back. Had the 5 touchdown game, but you can replace running backs. And at the end of the day, the 7.2 million is just too juicy not to get rid of.
Yeah.
Another cut to add some cap space. We got La'el Collins, man, coming off the ACL. I know they just signed him,
Just brought him in.
but it's the ACL injury. They can save 6 million pre and 7 million post, so it doesn't really matter when they cut him. I think he's gone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tough because they just signed him, but it's the injury, and also there were some struggles at the start of the year.
Oh yeah, they were
So-
not good early.
Yeah, exactly. I got him around 53-ish million dollars right now in cap after signing Joe and making these moves.
Mhm.
And also Tyler Boyd is cut as well. He's just the third of the receivers. He's
Yeah.
worth he's like $8.9 million saving in cap if they can get rid of him, and it's tough.
He's a number
They've
3.
got big decisions. I mean, you got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins. Boyd is the odd man out, and he even sort of like hinted at it after the AFC Championship game. He was like, I hope to be back, but like, I understand the situation I'm in. Like, it's a good bit of money that they can get if they cut him. And I
Right.
think they're going to have to do that because there are other moves they have to make, and they still are strong in the receiver room.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, the big one free agent on the outside that I think they're going to go get after cutting La'el Collins, it's McGlinchey. Obviously, Nate,
Okay.
I think you're
Ooh.
big on him there at tackle, but
yeah.
if everyone's going to be touting him, but you get a guy for Burrow, right side, left side, doesn't matter. I saw that he was about 4 years, 60 million
Yeah, about
on
15 a
contract.
year.
So about 15, maybe bump it up a little bit to get him because there's going to be some competing. But you got to get tackle, you got to get alignment for Burrow, especially after cutting Collins. But you got to keep him up. You look at Kansas City; they were able to get to him. You need to go get McGlinchey, best tackle out there. I think you signed Eli Apple to a two-year deal, $23 million. He might be touted a little bit, but he came up big in the postseason, sort of locked down the corner position, coming off of just nobody wanted him, and he came up, made plays. I think he's earned the contract.
Yeah.
And Trey Flowers on the other side, I saw something where they're going to be paying him similar money, maybe even a little bit more. And I just don't know if I believe in Trey Flowers like that. If you're picking one of these guys, at the end of the day, he does talk trash. I don't know if I love him, but I think Eli Apple is the guy they got to pick.
Yeah, if they're picking, I think Eli Apple for sure, because he's good at getting in the other team's head, man. Like, he talks a lot, and he is a former first rounder, so clearly there's talent there, and it's just taking some time for him to put it together. Like, the Giants were a dumpster fire organization when they had him.
Yeah,
Nobody could succeed there.
100%. And another guy I think they're going to bring back, Von Bell, just out of the two safeties. Jesse Bates, it's just too much money there. There was the franchise tag last year. You never know how negotiations would go, but Von Bell a little bit cheaper, but just I think is a good enough safety to have out there as well. You're not going to lose a step. 3-year, 22 million, about 7 annually, a little bit more than that. I think that's a fair deal. Nice safety. So that way you don't have question marks in the secondary because you're potentially losing 3 of these guys that you had in the secondary. So you got to shore up at least 2 of them. And then Hayden Hurst as well. Because I've seen mocks where they take Michael Meyer, you know what I mean, at 28, but I don't know if he falls that far. Also, they're saying the Utah tight end, he might go up. People are saying he might go before Meyer. You know what I mean?
I've seen that.
I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But so you bring back Hayden Hurst, 1-year deal, about 7 million as well. It just, you had connections with Joe Burrow last year, just a guy that's already been in the system. You don't have to replace, and obviously you'd love to get one of those rookies, and maybe if one's still there, you grab him as well. But you just lock up a guy on the offense, considering you're going to lose Boyd, just another weapon that has connection with Burrow. So that's really all the moves I got them making in free agency. So become draft, they have the 28th pick. I think they're going to just go best available. And now that could be multiple positions. I think they're looking corner here. They're looking end here. If there's a corner they like that's fallen, you know what I mean? Keelan Ringo, he's fell, something like that. There's a position there, you know, I've seen Lucas Van Ness go as high as 10, but I've also seen him as low as 30.
Yeah.
So it's like, is there an end they love? It's going to be tough. I really didn't pinpoint a guy because I think this is best position available at certain positions. It's going to be a corner. It's going to be an end. If Osiris Torrance is there, I think he's snatched immediately.
Yeah, same.
That's a no doubt pick for them. I think if he's at 28. And then 60, I think it's also similar. It's a situation where if they went corner in the first round, they're looking D end. And if they went D end or guard in the first round, I think they're looking corner. And some of the corners I saw that I was thinking if they went D end or like tight end or guard in first round, I like Eli Ricks if he's still there, but I don't know if Darius Rush, 6'2" guy from South Carolina, just an absolute monster of size on the outside. Considering you're going to lose one of these corners, you have to attack the secondary with one of your first 2 picks, and then it's either end or guard. Or Torrance is the only way I think they go guard early in the draft because he's a monster. Like we all said, we're all going to say in the mock, he's the most pro-ready guy, he's the best ready guard. So if he's there, that's a gem. But if not, you're attacking corner and D end, and then the rest of the draft you got to attack DT. And I will say this: Bijan Robinson, if he falls, I think you also snag him. If he's there at 28, just because no, exactly. We'll see if he's there. I don't think he makes it that far. People are saying, I mean, he's a top 5 rated player in the draft. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he's a running back is the only reason he's not going in the top 5. So obviously teams are going to snag him. But if he's there, which I think is a dream, you take him as well. But I got the Bengals re-signing a couple big pieces, going out, get McGlinchey, get Burrow to an extension. Does suck because now you're in position. What's up with Chase? I think you're going to lose Higgins now in this scenario next year, but you keep him this year because you're trying to win. Jermaine Pratt, it's tough to lose him, but the man's going to get paid a little bit of a bag, and you've got other pieces, other questions. Logan Wilson, I like. You want to try to extend him next year. They're in an interesting position this year. I think you got to do what you can to keep the offense intact. Get Burrow for sure. Get some of that secondary. Try to win because you're still trying to win the Super Bowl. You can't let half your roster walk away.
No, you've got to figure that out and bring him back. And I'm sure when they sign Burrow, they'll be able to move the money around and make it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing as well.
But like again, we're just going with the most basic numbers here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. They're turning everything into a signing bonus. And I did see some stuff they might be like, hey, maybe Mixon isn't out of town, but then it's got to be a restructure. You know what I mean? They have to address the contract situation because you can't keep everybody, especially when you're going to be paying your quarterback that much money. He is worth it.
Right. Plus they have some several needs. Like if they come up to 28, like if Bijan Robinson isn't there, you could always say, oh, well, Jahmyr Gibbs is, and you could go with him. But it's like, but do you take a running back if you need an offensive lineman or a corner? Because if you re-sign Samaje Perine, you could trot him out. Yeah,
he's good enough to, I think he's earned potential more snaps. You know what I mean? They clearly in the championship game, maybe they do like using him less in the regular season so they can use him late, but it's like he's a complete back in their eyes and mine as well. I think Perine is good overall at everything.
And he'll be cheap.
Yeah, if Joe Mixon isn't there and they don't draft a running back, I'll take Perine in the second round of fantasy.
Yeah, dude, he'll get numbers. He'll get numbers.
100%. Yeah, he does put up numbers. Bengals are in an interesting spot. I think it's sort of a reload situation. Keep Burrow. Try to go get McGlinchey then, obviously, to keep Burrow healthy, and you just attack again because you're right there. You got Burrow and Chase. Your offense is still there. You keep enough of your defense together. Get some rookies because you do have to go the Chief route. The Chiefs have 11 rookies get meaningful snaps throughout the year. Well, it's because they paid this big money to the quarterback. Well, the Bengals are also going to have to start relying on rookies sooner and sooner. It's going to be on the defensive side of the ball, definitely. So it's going to be rookies on D as much as they can bring back. Give Burrow as much help as he can and go for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. And that's got to be their sights because, they've been in the AFC Championship game back-to-back year. It's Super Bowl year. Yeah. Like, that's got to be their plan. And you can't not bring back all these dudes. Like they really, I hate to say it, man, but for so many teams, this was the year to not to beat out the Chiefs. This was the year to go in over the Chiefs.
Yep.
This was everybody's best shot. And
the Chiefs still won it.
Won it all.
Yeah, no, that's what's sickening, man, because now, these teams, the Bengals and Bills, they're running into situations where it's like, okay, we're here and we've been here. Now, how do we stay here with losing pieces? We have a couple, but the Chiefs have this down pat clearly.
Yeah, the Chiefs have been waiting for it hasn't been level against them. Like they've had to pay the quarterback, and they're like, okay, now we're not able to compete with you guys in free agency market, and now everybody else is having to pay the quarterback, and they're set. They've been building for this. They're ready.
You brought it up when I think we were talking QB deal or no deal. The fact that Mahomes' contract is going to look like a bargain.
Yeah.
Joke.
Yeah.
It is a joke, man. He got $500 million, but the way that's going to work out annually, it's going to be less than a majority of QBs.
Yeah, like 10.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a time, where Mahomes is out of the top 10 or near it. He's 9, 10, 8 around there. Yeah. Potentially dropped out to 11 or 12.
He will, man.
Quarterback per year, and that's insane.
Yeah. Well, with the cap still going up every single year,
man,
it's not even a question. He's going to be 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, in no time.
Yeah, I will say this. I love that the Bengals were one of the 3 teams without a stadium name. They didn't have like a company paying them for their name. And then last year they just did it because they know they sold the
Need
rights
money.
to the stadium name because they know they need that money. And it's
Mhm.
hilarious because, well, they have to though, because know it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, they're gonna, and you can't let Joe Burrow walk. He is the embodiment of that team.
Yeah, I was talking
He
to
is
George.
everything.
Yeah, me and George were just talking about it earlier, and it's like, I mean, what's the scenario? You try to play hardball with the guy that's taking you to the Super Bowl, like revived your franchise. Like you cannot play hardball with this guy because
No.
what's like? I mean, what the worst case scenario is you piss him off to the point where he says you got to tag me or I'm just not going to play. And
You can play hardball with them. You're just gonna be the Ravens and risk losing it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. No, exactly. Now you're in this situation, and
Yeah.
nobody
You don't
wants
wanna be
that.
here. No,
Yeah.
the fans don't want to be here.
Nobody wants that,
That's
Eric
what I said as
DaCosta.
well.
I know you're listening.
Yeah, Ravens GM. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
no, that's what I said, Nate. You'd literally lose all fans. I was like, the
Yeah.
GM he'd have to hide witness protection, man. It's
Yes.
just-
Yeah, if he lets Joe Burrow go, he needs to just disappear because nobody
Yeah.
will like him.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, they're set. It's just like you said, a retooling year almost for them. Figure out where they're going with some of these pieces. It stinks that they're going to have to get rid of Tyler Boyd, but at the end of the day, he's their number 3. You
Yeah.
can plug and play a 3rd or 4th round rookie in there and let him get some
And you
meaningful
love
reps.
Boyd as the 3. You know, he's the best 3 in the league, obviously. You know what I mean? He can put up huge numbers there, but it's just, man, you can save basically 10 million, and it's just like that's just so tough considering it's such a strong room. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you said, Nate, you draft a late rookie, somebody else just steps up to be that 3rd guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to do it. But I like that. Yeah. All right. We'll keep on rolling because we're kind of up against the clock here. I am just briefly, I didn't know I was fixing Cleveland until about 11:30. So I've got some brief stuff on them. And oh boy, they are in serious trouble. They thought that they had it with Baker Mayfield. So what they did was they kicked the can down the road to about this time. They figured we can win with Baker. We are in the playoffs. We won a playoff game with him. We can win with this guy. Let's kick the can down the road and build the best team we can. They didn't win anything, didn't win a damn thing. They are currently sitting at negative $18.8 million available in cap space.
Ooh.
That's bad.
Yep. And the first thing I'm doing, if he'll even take it, this is just like if he'll do it, is I'm trying to restructure Deshaun Watson's deal because you look at their big cap hits. Jack Conklin just signed a 4-year extension. If you cut him, you can't restructure him yet, but if you cut him, it actually hurts your cap space. You lose more money if you cut him. Your dead money on him goes up. I have a picture. Let me pull it up. I should have already had it pulled up, but like the amount of contracts they have that get worse with cutting or restructuring is insane. I mean, they're paying this year. Deshaun Watson's cap hit is $55 million.
Yep.
The only thing I can do is restructure him, and that saves $35 million against the cap for this year. Again, kicking the can down the road and screwing your future, but at least that gets you to positive cap space. But they're paying Myles Garrett $30 million for this upcoming season. They're paying Amari Cooper $24 million. If you cut him, you only save $2 million this year. That doesn't do anything for me. I can't work with that. And you're down a number 1 receiver. Yeah. They're paying Wyatt Teller, their guard, $15.5 million. If you cut him, his cap hit goes to 20. So you lose $5 million if you cut him. They're paying Nick Chubb, $14.85 million this year for Nick Chubb. Just re-signed him, can't cut or restructure him.
Yeah,
Joel Bitonio, their 32-year-old guard, Joel Bitonio, is going to make $15 million this year, and his cap hit only goes down by $2.5 million if you cut or restructure. You can't cut or restructure John Johnson. You won't even let me restructure him on the website, but he's making $13.5 million for them as a safety, and you can't cut or restructure him and save any money. The only things I could do that made sense were to restructure Deshaun's deal and just kind of screw the future and cut Jakeem Grant and save $2.3 million. Those were the only feasible moves for me to make. I couldn't do anything else for them. Because you don't if I go through a nickel and dime it, I could save, $750,000 here and maybe 1.2 million here, but I'm not going to waste my time with that.
Yeah.
And then you look at, so they can't sign any free agents because even if you do that with Deshaun Watson, okay, you've saved $34 million if you restructure it exactly how Spot Track has it, but will he accept that kind of a restructure? Will he do that for you? I don't know. So I'm saving my money. I'm not signing anybody in free agency because even if I do, I don't think this team's good enough to win anything. So might as well start stockpiling some cap.
I don't even think restructuring Deshaun Watson, like the reason he went to Cleveland was guaranteed money.
Right.
close he would be in Atlanta, probably.
Yeah.
Because Atlanta was trying, he said Cleveland was out of the picture before he went back because they said, what if it was guaranteed? And he was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm all in.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Huh.
all right, that changes things.
Yeah,
But
you're right. I mean, it was all guaranteed. I guess you can like rework and like, I guess you can change how some of the bonuses work. I don't know how they do it, but I don't think he even accepts it. I think that they're up against the cap space and they're not able to do anything. And then it's like, okay, well, good. Let's go to the draft. No first round draft pick. That's in Houston and it's pick number 12. So it's a solid first round pick and that's in Houston. And I think next year's is in Houston also, at least, if not more. I mean, they don't have a first rounder for at least this year, maybe even next year too. So their first pick in the draft is 42. I have them going Anton Harrison, who I mentioned earlier, taking offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Jedrick Wills has been kind of a bust for them. He has not been very good, and his contract expires in another year. They're going to have to pay him, and he's going to want money because he's a first-round tackle, and he has had some decent tape, but they're not going to be able to pay him, especially if you kick the Deshaun Watson can down the road. You can't pay him now. You're screwed.
Yeah.
And they just signed Jack Conklin to a 4-year extension. Can't do anything with that. So you're going to have to let Jedrick Wills walk in a year or two. And I think that then you just, okay, let's draft our replacement. Let's go ahead and get Anton Harrison in here and have him start or, get some meaningful reps with Jedrick Wills. Maybe even try and trade Jedrick Wills, try and get his cap hit off of the books and get some value for him while you can. And then I have them taking a defensive tackle out of Western Kentucky with the 98th overall pick, Broderick Martin. He will not be a day one starter for them, but if you look at their defensive line, they need a tackle so badly. Their defensive tackle room is extremely weak. Broderick Martin is a freak athlete. He's 6'5", 330 pounds, just a space eater. But like I said, he's out of Western Kentucky, and he's going to be a 3rd round pick out of Western Kentucky that will not get any meaningful snaps this year. But if they've got Jim Schwartz there, who's good at developing these guys. Hopefully he develops into a good defensive tackle for you, but the Browns are screwed. Like if you look at all 4 of the teams in this division, the Browns are not going to like you hope Deshaun Watson can drag you to 10 wins.
Yeah, they're reliant on this guy being an elite quarterback.
Yeah. And even then, like their top tier talent's getting up there in age now. It's like Myles Garrett is how old now? Myles Garrett's 28. Amari Cooper's 29. You start to see that regression hit those receivers about 30.
And all this was happening. They knew all of it was happening, and they still went out and extended David Njoku.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can't even cut him. Can't do anything with his money. He's there. Good job. You guys have tight end who's had like one good, decent season. We talk about loving the Cleveland roster. It's a great roster if you don't look at the cap hit. You don't look at the available cap space. Like it's a talented roster, and if they can figure out how to make it work, they've got talent. But man, that bill is coming due from kicking it down the road. It's fun to do when you can say, "Oh, just restructure. I have more money to go get a stud free agent right now." It's like, okay, but in 2 years, when you can't re-sign any of your actual young talent, you're gonna hate yourself. Yeah, I don't see Cleveland doing a whole lot. Like you need Deshaun Watson to play like he did in his best years in Houston. And you need Amari Cooper to play like a prime DeAndre Hopkins for that to happen. You need the offensive line to hold up. And Deshaun Watson's not old, but he's 28. I mean, you're in his prime right now.
Yeah, right now.
It's now or never.
4 years and try to reload. Like, no, there's not that. Yeah.
It's now or never. You sign him to a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract. You need to win now. And unfortunately for them, there are 2, maybe 3 teams better than them in their own division already. And it's like, okay, well, we can't go out and sign anybody and improve our team. We have what we have. Let's see what we can do. If I'm Cleveland Browns are in trouble, man.
Yeah, not good.
No, it stinks for them. They thought Baker Mayfield was the guy, and maybe he could have been. I mean, he won a playoff game for him, but
gone to the AFC Championship game, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, it was.
And they lost Chad Henne. I mean, they was it AFC divisional against the Chiefs, I think.
Yeah.
It was the divisional round. He almost got him to the AFC Championship. Yeah. That's what it was, right? They went to the Chiefs, and Chad Henne had to play. And I remember thinking, oh my God, the Browns are going to the AFC Championship game, but Chad Henne came through for the Chiefs.
4th down screen.
Guy had some wheels. But yeah, I mean, they went all in and it hasn't worked, and you need they're going to need some serious changes are going to have to be made, and they need Deshaun Watson to restructure already. And he's only played 5 games for them, and they're like, yeah, this contract already looks bad.
Yeah,
like,
we're
already screwed. Yeah. So yeah, that's how
they're stuck.
Yeah, Cleveland is not in a good spot, man. We love that roster. We're going to get it tattooed on our forehead.
Yeah, I love that roster.
It's in trouble. It is incredible.
Expensive roster. That's why we love it.
Yeah, exactly. It's got the face value, the name brands, they've got the good stuff. No Walmart brands on this team, baby.
No.
Paying top dollar.
Yeah,
But yeah, so that's how we would try to fix up the AFC North. There's not a whole lot of moves for some of these teams and big moves for the other ones. You got to get Lamar locked down if you're Baltimore. You've got to get him a number one receiver. There are so many teams this offseason that need a number one receiver. The price for them is just going to keep going up. And you hope you get yours, man.
Well, I don't know how just recently we found out that young quarterbacks need a receiver.
Right.
Yeah. What?
It seems like just in the past 2 years, we're like, oh, you give Hurts AJ Brown, now he's good.
Mhm.
Oh, you give Tua Hill,
Tyreek.
good. What?
Crazy.
We knew this.
Right. This was known. Why would you not go get them that receiver? Like, you can't throw the ball to these bums, man. It just doesn't work.
I love the guy, but Equimini St. Brown in the Bears Dolphins game, man. 4th down, Fields puts a good ball in his hands. Drops it. It's like that's number one pretty much all year. It's like it's stuff, man.
Went right through literally both of his hands. There's a perfect throw away from the defender from Fields, right through. A good receiver catches that ball, and you're driving to try to tie the game.
Yeah,
Okay, y'all have D-Hop next year, so.
Hey, there you go. We'll see. Be interesting. D-Hop's going to be. I don't know if Arizona. I think Arizona has to trade him personally.
Yeah, Opal wasn't here. I got the Ravens getting Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm excited to listen to that, but yeah, no, that'd be fire though. They need to get somebody, and the Bucks are starting in trouble too a little bit.
Oh,
so
I told him. I said, spoiler alert for our NFC South talk. They're negative, I think, 58 million in cap space. They have no money because Tom Brady. I didn't realize this, but Tom Brady retiring, all of his money becomes dead cap. That's 35 million against their cap hit for this year because he chose to retire.
I love it
because I think it was guaranteed, so they have to pay him no matter what.
They said one more fuck you to Bruce Arians.
Yeah, they sure did. So yeah, the whole NFC South is ugly, man. I'm excited to do that one because it's going to be hilarious.
We don't know.
We can't. Like, there's some things we can't do. I'm not a miracle worker. I can't fix this.
No.
There's nothing you could do. But that's what we've got for the AFC North. And